This is America, with a land area of about 10 million square kilometers, and this is the Netherlands, which only covers 42,000 square kilometers. America exports agricultural products worth approximately $185 billion annually. Meanwhile, the Netherlands, whose area is 235 times smaller than America, exports about $133 billion annually. This makes the Netherlands the second largest exporter of agricultural products in the world, including cheese, meat, cattle, poultry, and advanced agricultural innovations and technologies that have placed it at the forefront globally. The main reason behind the Netherlands reaching this status boils down to two key factors. First, the deadly floods caused by the North Sea, and second, the hunger winter imposed by Hitler on the Dutch during World War II. Of course, there are many other reasons, but these two factors were the primary driving forces for the Netherlands to take unprecedented steps no one could have imagined. For instance, turning the salty water you see now into fresh water, suitable for drinking and farming. So, how did they achieve that? How did they excel in both the agricultural and livestock sectors? What role did science, education, and engineering play in all of this? And why do some specialists see the Netherlands as a global hope for combating future famines in this field? Today's episode is packed with surprises and fascinating information about this small country, which we'll explore together. But before we dive in, I sincerely apologize for my absence from YouTube. My computer's graphics card broke, so I couldn't edit anything. I prepared this video on a friend's computer, but I can't use it for long. That's why I need your help. I really need money to replace the graphics card and processor and upgrade some other parts. I've managed to save up for most of the parts, but my side job doesn't bring in enough for me to buy a good screen and graphics card. I only need $600 to finish building a computer capable of producing 4K content and continuing to upload videos. If you'd like this channel to keep going, I'll leave my PayPal account and the addresses for my Bitcoin or TRC20 wallets in the description box below. Once I have the amount needed, I'll remove them. Please don't hesitate to help. And without further ado, subscribe to my channel, and let's get into it. On the night of November 19th, 1421, a disaster known as the St. Elizabeth Flood began due to a violent winter storm accompanied by strong winds and heavy rains, turning the scene into a massive and terrifying flood that struck the coasts of the Netherlands. This wasn't just any ordinary flood, it was a catastrophe that changed the face of the country forever. Water levels rose so high that the primitive dikes of the time collapsed, submerging vast areas of farmland, homes, and villages, and thousands lost their lives that day. However, the 1421 flood wasn't the strongest in Dutch history. More severe floods happened both before and after this date. Yet, this particular flood reshaped the geography of the Netherlands, as around 72 villages completely disappeared underwater for centuries. Flooding has always been an eternal problem for the Netherlands. It's a low-lying country. 26% of its land is below sea level, and about 50% of it is almost flat with no mountains, just a few hills in the far south. This means that during floods, it's very easy for 60% of the Netherlands' land to end up underwater. Flooding was a constant threat, making it impossible to achieve agricultural and livestock stability before solving the flood problem. This is the exciting part of today's episode, which is crucial to understand how the Netherlands reached its current agricultural status. After the 1421 flood, the Dutch began focusing on water engineering and building dikes. Their primary goal was flood protection, and the second was reclaiming land submerged by water. They built dikes and barriers and used windmills to lift water and drain lands. Windmills, originally used for grinding grain using wind power, were modified to pump water out of flooded areas and discharge it elsewhere. This allowed them to reclaim a lot of land. This innovation made windmills a hallmark of the Netherlands from ancient times. There used to be about 9,000 windmills, but today only about 1,000 remain. These are an important part of Dutch heritage, celebrated annually on National Windmill Day in May. 200 years later, their expertise in water management had advanced significantly. One of their standout projects showcasing this progress was the Beemster Lake project, covering 7,200 hectares. The goal was to drain the entire lake and reclaim farmland, as shown here. And they succeeded in achieving this within 5 years, recovering all that land, reflecting their great advancements in this field. And after this project, the Netherlands kept moving forward until they reached their current position in land reclamation. Around 20% of the Netherlands today didn't even exist originally. This extra portion of the country's land came from reclaimed areas. Later, I'll show you a map that illustrates how the Netherlands looked before and after reclamation. All right, everything seems great now, right? We've got extra land, so let's start farming it. But hold on, there's still a problem. Not all reclaimed land is immediately suitable for farming. A lot of it came from drained marshlands or areas submerged by salty seawater, making them unsuitable for farming due to high salinity levels. However, these lands weren't entirely useless. Grass and vegetation grew there, which was perfect for raising livestock. The Dutch took advantage of this by introducing cows and other animals to graze on this grass. They then produced milk, which they turned into cheese and sold to neighboring countries. This was even before the invention of refrigerators. You might wonder, how did they preserve such perishable products? The answer lies in the Netherlands' unique geographic location. On one side, it borders the North Sea, and on the other, 3 major rivers run through it: the Meuse, Rhine, and Scheldt. These rivers flow through economically significant European countries like France and Germany, and eventually empty into the North Sea through the Netherlands. This prime location gave the Netherlands an edge in maritime transport, which was the fastest and cheapest means of transportation in ancient times. It allowed them to export their agricultural products quickly to their neighbors, maximizing the use of every available piece of land. Thanks to this strategic location, the Netherlands also became one of Europe's most important transportation and distribution hubs, both historically and to this day. For instance, the port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands is the largest port in Europe. This formed the solid economic foundation that later enabled the Netherlands to dominate global trade, with productive farmland and a prime location for transporting goods. Starting around 1600, the Dutch Golden Age began, marked by the rise of the Dutch East India Company, the largest company in history, and the expansion of its overseas colonies. But the question remains, did the Dutch completely eliminate the risk of flooding? The answer is no. Many floods occurred after that, and the results were always catastrophic, with massive losses. However, the recurring theme after each disaster was that the Dutch would rise again and improve their engineering. They built newer and stronger dikes. One of the most notable achievements before World War II was the construction of the Afsluitdijk, the enclosure dam. Completed in 1932, this dam is considered an engineering marvel by all standards. It stretches 32 kilometers long. Building something of this scale and length at that time was truly miraculous. More importantly for agriculture, the dam separated the Zuiderzee, Southern Sea, from the salty North Sea and gradually turned it into a freshwater area over time, thanks to the inflow of a river. Over time, it turned into the freshwater lake IJsselmeer, which was great for agriculture. But that's not all. The Dutch started building what are known as polders, or artificial islands, like the ones you see here inside the lake. These were suitable for farming. As you can see, 3 new areas were built within the lake, adding about 1,620 square kilometers of land to the Netherlands, most of it suitable for farming, which is roughly 400,000 acres. So, let's plant, eat, export, feed others, and make some money, right? Well, the Netherlands couldn't do that. Instead, they faced a famine. Welcome to World War II. This was the first time the Dutch experienced hunger after centuries of prosperity and abundance. And the reason was Hitler. When World War II started, the Netherlands declared neutrality, just like in World War I. But this time, they couldn't stay neutral because Germany rejected their position. Hitler believed that Germany lost World War I because they didn't invade the Netherlands. So, he decided not to make the same mistake. Invading the Netherlands was a key step to taking control of France and preventing the British from using the Netherlands as a base to attack Germany. So, the Germans invaded the Netherlands quickly, and within days, the country was under their control. The problem was that the Germans imposed food restrictions on the population, which eventually turned into a famine by the end of World War II. Whether this famine was intentional or not is still debated, but it became known as the Hunger Winter, lasting from 1944 to May 1945. The Dutch were forced to survive on rations of 400 to 800 calories a day, far below what a person needs in normal conditions. It got so bad that people ate grass, tree bark, and even tulip bulbs, anything they could find to stay alive. The famine killed 20,000 people and affected another 4.5 million. On top of that, a harsh winter ruined the already limited crops. Thankfully, the war ended, and the Allies arrived to rescue the Dutch. Great! Everything is back to normal, right? Now the Dutch can start farming again and rebuild their economy. Well, no. On January 31st, 1953, a catastrophic flood hit the Netherlands again, destroying dikes and barriers as if they didn't even exist. Seawater flooded over 150,000 hectares of farmland, killing 1,800 people, displacing hundreds of thousands, drowning 200,000 livestock, and destroying tens of thousands of homes. You might ask, weren't the dikes supposed to protect the country? The answer is yes, but no matter how strong, dikes can't provide permanent protection against nature's forces. They require constant maintenance and upgrades. Many Dutch engineers had warned about this back in 1916, emphasizing the need for new, stronger dike projects. They predicted that the next major flood could overwhelm the country, but World War I prevented these projects from being implemented. By the time the war ended, the Great Depression hit in the late 1920s, making it impossible to undertake massive projects. The best they could do was the Miracle Dam mentioned earlier. By the 1930s, the world was heading into World War II, and the Netherlands fell under German occupation. After liberation, the country faced more crises, including the catastrophic flood. That's when, in the late 1950s, the Dutch decided to stand up and adopt the motto, "No more hunger." They began working on the Delta Project, the largest initiative to build a system of massive dikes and barriers in the Netherlands. These were complex engineering feats like nothing seen before in modern engineering, so much so that they were listed among the 7 wonders of the world. The Delta Works projects were basically about building a large number of dikes and barriers in multiple locations. As you can see on the map here, this project took around 40 years to complete, finally wrapping up in 1997. The last piece to be completed was the engineering masterpiece before you, the Maaslandkering. This movable barrier isn't like any ordinary dam. It consists of 2 massive gates, each about 210 meters long, the height of the Eiffel Tower. These gates move automatically and close whenever there's a threat, like storms or rising tides. The barrier was designed to ensure it wouldn't obstruct navigation in the port of Rotterdam, the busiest port in Europe. And by the way, this isn't the only movable barrier in the Netherlands. There are other dikes and movable barriers with various purposes, like controlling river and rainwater runoff and maintaining the North Sea's ecosystem. The direct result of the Delta Works project is that the Netherlands has been safe from North Sea floods for 60 years so far. Another result is the expansion of reclaimed and restored land, increasing the country's size. As you can see, this was the Netherlands' original size, but after their efforts, it has grown to what you see now. Flood protection and land expansion ultimately benefited the Dutch agricultural sector, which in turn boosted the economy. In 2001, the Netherlands exported $33 billion worth of agricultural products. Last year, that number reached $133 billion. About 73% of Dutch agricultural production is exported. The Netherlands is Europe's largest meat exporter, shipping over 4 million cows, 13 million pigs, and 104 million chickens annually. These agricultural products feed major European countries, especially Germany, Belgium, and France. As you can see, agriculture and horticulture account for about 10% of the Dutch economy, a very significant figure, and also make up 17.5% of the Netherlands' total exports. Agriculture isn't just a normal sector, it's a key pillar of the Dutch economy. But do you think all these numbers come solely from traditional farming on fertile reclaimed land? Of course not. The Netherlands wouldn't have reached this level of agricultural success without one last crucial element: technology and agricultural science. The Netherlands is one of the world leaders in agricultural technology, thanks to its research institutions and globally renowned universities specializing in this field. Leading the pack is Wageningen University, ranked as the best agricultural university in the world last year. This university consistently holds top global rankings annually, which is a reflection of its high standards, and the same goes for other Dutch universities specializing in agriculture. The development of vertical farming systems, precision agriculture using drones, LED lighting, remote sensing devices, seed technology, and robots for harvesting. These innovations were driven by advanced agricultural universities in the Netherlands and pushed the country to a global leadership position. Around Wageningen University, there's also what's called Food Valley, similar to Silicon Valley in the US, where global food technology companies cluster. For instance, 15 of the world's 20 largest agri-food companies have research centers near this university, including Nestlé, Coca-Cola, and Unilever. Many well-known food companies have research centers near this university to benefit from it. This Dutch progress in farming techniques is clearly reflected in their innovative methods. For example, if you grow tomatoes in open fields in Spain, a square meter might yield about 4 kilograms. In the Netherlands, using advanced greenhouses, a square meter can produce about 80 kilograms of tomatoes. Water usage is also much lower in the Netherlands, about 2 liters of water per kilogram of tomatoes compared to a global average of 106 liters. These figures were reported by The Washington Post. For this reason, it's not an exaggeration to hear some experts say they're pinning their hopes on Dutch agricultural technology to solve future hunger crises. By 2050, the global population is expected to reach 10 billion, meaning we'll need to increase food production by 60%. Without improving farming methods, this could destroy most of the world's remaining forests or leave 1 billion people at risk of starvation. The presence of agricultural research centers and universities like those in the Netherlands offers hope for solving these problems and avoiding a global hunger crisis. So, to summarize this episode and keep you on track, this small country, the Netherlands, managed to become the world's second-largest food exporter thanks to their water and dike engineering, developed over centuries, and their unique geography, with flat lands, the confluence of 3 major rivers, a mild climate, and proximity to Europe's major economic powers. Their focus on education and research, exemplified by having the world's top agricultural universities. These could be considered the main general reasons for the rise of Dutch agriculture and its global position. But surprisingly, despite all this growth and progress, the Dutch government has started shutting down these farms and getting rid of much of the livestock, which forms a backbone of the Dutch economy. I know you're wondering how the Netherlands could undo all this success, so don't jump to conclusions just yet. We'll dive into this in the next episode, which might be shocking to many of you because we'll discuss a controversial figure tied to all of this, someone who's deeply involved. If you know who this influential person is, drop their name in the comments. If you liked this episode, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it. See you in the next episode. Thanks.